ROG just gave us the opportunity to showcase and review this brand new laptop called the Strix Scar 18. And from what we've already seen from on-paper specs, it's an absolute powerhouse. But enough speculation, let's open this thing up. When opening up the box, you'll be introduced to a premium experience. As you open it, the laptop will be lifted up and presented to you like a new car reveal. I'll be honest, if you have an unboxing this satisfying, you already know they've spent a considerable amount of time with this product to make sure everything is to be taken care of with great detail. Below the laptop, you'll have a small box with warranty sheets and manuals, and on the right you'll find the power adapter and IC plug. And can I just point out, this adapter is really thin and light, and I find it really cool that they were able to maintain such a high power input to a laptop this demanding. Also, if you didn't notice, the top lid of the box has images of the design process of the laptop, which adds just that little bit more of luxury in design. The current model is carrying the Intel Core Ultra 9 275HX processor with 8 performance and 16 efficiency cores, totaling to 24 threads with a max frequency of 5.4 GHz and a base power of 55 watts. This laptop has dual channel support for DDR5 SODIMM RAM, and at the moment this laptop comes stock with 64 GB clocked at 5600 MHz. So plenty of memory to ensure no software freezing. This will also come with 4 TB of SSD NVMe storage split via RAID 0, rated at Gen 4 speeds. This is also carrying the top of the line GeForce RTX 5090, which specs out as a 24 GB GDDR7 GPU with max clock speeds of 1647 MHz. We'll collectively be benchmarking this rig to see what sort of performance this laptop collectively pulls, to see how much of an edge the 5090 has with DLSS 4 switched on or off, and also frame generation as well. Screen size is excellent as well. Since it's an 18-inch screen, they had to make sure every bit of this panel showed quality. It's flexing a resolution of 2560 by 1600 and also features their ROG Nebula HDR display with mini LED. The brightness of this sort of display maxes out at 1200 nits with a refresh rate of 240 Hz at 3 milliseconds. This also has a color accuracy of 100% DCI-P3, which means an excellent baseline for color grading and Photoshop/Lightroom work. The screen has also been upgraded with a brand new dual ACR layer, which reduces reflections and enhances contrast by 4.5 times for incredibly vivid colors. Overall, they didn't cut any corners with this. The cosmetics of the laptop is sleek, but they've managed to add a couple of game-loving goodness into it as well. We'll first address the elephant in the room and take a look at the lid. As you can easily see, ROG added their classic Enemy Vision display with an array of 810 LEDs shining through 9152 precision milled holes. This was actually only specific to the renowned Zephyrus series laptops, but they've now expanded from that laptop to bring it to the new Strix Scar models. This will give the user a couple of cool presets that ROG has set up, or you can import your own GIF or image to make it more personal for yourself. Another small cosmetic look is ROG's classic RGB logo at the back, which I'm sure any avid ROG user would know is a staple these days to have on their laptops. The build quality feels robust and heavy. ROG hasn't specified what materials they used in this model, but from what I felt, it seemed to be made of aluminium and black chromium along with some small plastic and rubber additives. Overall though, it's well made and super sturdy. Looking at the sides, you'll see 2 intake vents along with 1 massive exhaust. Flipping to the back though, you'll notice that the whole surface area is basically all intake vents, along with the cosmetic ROG Strix logo. This is what's called ROG Intelligent Cooling. From what I got told, they've essentially fully revamped the design on how cool air gets pulled in to cool all components on the inside and gets expelled smoothly without any major heat buildup. They've achieved this type of cooling through pairing an end-to-end sandwich heatsink with a tri-fan setup along with thermal grizzlies, conducting out extreme liquid metal on both the CPU and the GPU. This results in the laptop having insanely low noise levels when it needs to be kicked into turbo mode for more demanding tasks. Also, another funny and rather really cool additive to all this is that the airflow actually travels up through the keyboard to keep your hands cool in case you're clutching up a full 1v6 match on Search and Destroy. Also, I can't forget about the white strip surrounding the entire bottom. Yep, that's a programmable LED strip to add a bit more flair to the laptop for downlighting. Classic ROG, love it. The back of this laptop also has an insanely sick feature that I think other brands should take on board, and that's a completely toolless design to get into the back to upgrade your components such as your RAM and storage. SSDs are usually held in by a small screw, but this model integrated a Q-latch system that essentially allows you to easily remove them without a Phillips head screwdriver. Like I said, other brands should definitely consider this for their lineup of laptops. It makes it so much easier for the user to be more modular with their upgrades. They've also added 4 speakers that are Dolby Atmos certified. This is further amplified on where they place these speakers. 2 tweeters placed at the top and 2 subs facing downward to create an authentic soundstage for your games, movies, or music. You've also got the pleasure in listening to true and proper headphone quality since the headphone port is high-res certified. Flipping back over to the ports, it features 3 USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A ports, 2 Thunderbolt 5s, 1 HDMI 2.1, 1 3.5mm audio jack, and a 2.5 gigabit LAN port. So plenty of expandability if you decide to make this more more of a non-transportable laptop. If you're also worried about webcam quality, you don't need to fret. The specs that are being pulled are just a regular resolution of 1080p. It's nothing special, but it'll get the job done for any application for work. Temperature testing was next. I stressed the laptop under different types of software conditions, such as OCCT and 3D Mark looped animation playback, and left it for about 5 to 10 minutes before I started measuring the temperatures. I first aimed it at the keyboard, and I wanted to see if ROG's statement about their air cooling through their keyboard was accurate. Surprisingly, that section stayed relatively cool, with temperatures reaching a max of around 41 degrees Celsius, but towards the screen, temperatures spiked up around 50 degrees Celsius, which is normal for where all the main components are positioned on the inside. Flipping over to the bottom, you can clearly see that the bulk of the heat is being produced near the middle, which further concretes the effective cooling that's being produced for the keyboard. However, if you turn it to the back grille, you notice a significant bump in temperature output, reaching up between 65 to 70 degrees. But obviously, if the laptop is experiencing temperatures in these areas alone, then ROG's cooling methods are doing their job quite efficiently. Final thoughts on the cooling are highly positive, and if anyone was worried about overheating in regards to the new CPU and GPU combos, you have nothing to worry about. Benchmarking was insanely fun on this laptop. I was really excited to take a look at the new DLSS and frame generation to see if the advertising of it was accurate. So you'll have to see at the end of the segment to look at those results. Also, feel free at any time to pause the video to look at the results in more detail. First test was done with minimum help from upscaling or frame generation. We also switched off ray tracing to see what sort of results we would get. Graphics settings for all games were maxed out as well. The results are honestly what I would have expected from this generation of NVIDIA's 50 series card. Obviously, NVIDIA really wanted to focus more on AI-backed graphical power, and it also looks like the newest games that are coming out these days are heading that way too. All results are just fine. Nothing too special, and it's something that I was expecting. Like I said, brute graphical power isn't NVIDIA's focus within this gen of GPU. Second test involved only ray tracing to be switched on, and yeah, the results are even worse for obvious reasons. To be honest though, more than half of these games would still be playable with no help from upscaling or frame gen, especially with the finals. It was well above the playable 60 FPS mark, and low 1% and 0.1% was really competitive in terms of gameplay smoothness. Third results are more promising, having DLSS enabled. The finals had an instant boost in frame rate, going all the way up to 140 FPS, which is great. All games got really close or largely over the 60 FPS mark, which means playability is definitely possible without any issues. Frame stutters at these settings were also non-existent. The final results with DLSS and frame gen enabled has overwhelming results. All games reached far beyond the 150 FPS mark, and frame rate stuttering was hardly a thing at all. Putting this together with a proper high refresh rate monitor would actually pair well for once. I would, however, still enable G-Sync compatible to get the best performance out of these games with these settings enabled though. To be honest, these results are absolutely mind-boggling. Like I said earlier, cosmetic customization is really easy and super modular for the user. You can easily make these changes in Armoury Crate, where you won't just find customization settings, but also driver updates and component monitoring. This software's been around for a while and has always been an easy way to maintain these laptops to make sure everything is healthy and up to date. In conclusion, this laptop is top of the line for graphical and processing power. If you don't mind the size and weight of this beast, then it's definitely a laptop to consider. Although, if I was looking for something to bring around on planes easily, or just have a person that needs something easy to constantly travel with, this might not be the best option, but besides that, it's definitely something to take into consideration. We hope you enjoyed this showcase and review, and we hope to see you in the next one. Catch you later.